And this, that. We are, okay, we're live.
Well, great. Thank you very much, Harold, and welcome to the Albert E. Alquist Seismic Safety Commission meeting of July 17th, 2025. My name is David Rabbit, and I'll serve as chair today, and I'll turn it over for a roll call, please.
Chair Rabbit.
Here.
Vice Chair Garnes.
Here.
Commissioner Bumblebee, represented by Irina Brosnan.
Here.
Commissioner Claire.
Here.
Commissioner Ward, represented by Nate Ortiz. Commissioner Tim Lopez.
Here.
Commissioner Pellerin, represented by Tomasa Dueñas. Commissioner Wells.
Here.
Great. It is great to see or hear everyone. Thank you for attending today. Thank you for your patience this morning as well before we start. We do have a live feed from the Shake Tower down at UC San Diego. Awaiting any minute, a little fire exercise within that building. Hopefully we'll make some good video.
Right now,
They're starting right now.
right now, I can see the fire on that.
All right, shall we go back?
If you, hopefully you can follow along.
They lift the pallets. You do this again.
connecting us to that. My understanding is that they already analyzed the building prior to this fire through, after the previous shakes. The fire, lit today, then they'll go back and reanalyze the building to see if fire traveled through any softened stress points or whatever. Hopefully get some, good information out of that, so. Plus, you know, get to see someone light a fire on purpose, controlled environment too often. Do want to say thank you, to CAL FIRE for stepping up. I know that the last minute, there were some scheduling, conflicts that came about, and CAL FIRE stepped in and provided, as you saw, the personnel needed to make sure that the whole thing was carried out safely. And we do hope that Brian and Thomas, get back to whomever they're supposed to get back to down there, so. Also want to, announce the arrival of Representative, Duenas and Ortiz for the quorum. Thank you so much for being here. And, quickly, some, housekeeping. Commissioners, presenters, and staff, please, rename and mute yourself if you have not already done so. The remote commissioner, if your camera must be on, and announce, when you leave or return. And if you need assistance during the meeting, please email our good, person here, Tanya Black, at tanya.black@loes.ca.gov. And the OWL devices are used for sound and camera. Please speak loudly, and clearly when addressing the commission or making comments. And we appreciate that very much. We have hopefully a quicker agenda today than previously. I know that one presentation was kind of punted due to a last minute change. And so we move forward, I think, with chair remarks. I've been offering, unfortunately for you, but a couple notable earthquakes occurred since we last met. We had a magnitude 5.2. Is that Jillian, California? Quite sure where that is, but 2.5 miles south of Jillian, California. San Diego County, okay. 4.6, 19.25 miles from Petrolia. And a 4.6, about 5 miles southeast of Deep Springs, California. So the earth continues to shake beneath our feet, hopefully in small little amounts. Keep us all safe going forward. And again, I do want to say congratulations to the Cal OES W team. Stands for
Earthquake early warning.
Earthquake Early Warning. Why did I not know that? The team surpassing 4 million downloads. That's great. It's really great. So thank you everyone who's been working so diligently on that. And with that, we'll move on to public comment on items on the agenda, and I'll look to Tanya and or Nicole. We have no public comment. There's no one in the room that's wanting to make public comments, so we'll move on to item number 4. And I'll give it back to our acting executive director, Lori and Sarah. And I think this is just the approval of the minutes. Is that correct? You want me just to carry through? This is the approval of the minutes of the April 10th, 2025 meeting.
Did we want to? No.
But we do want to acknowledge, we have online with us, we hope, Sarah McBride, who has accepted is accepting the Seismic Safety Commission's executive director position. And we're excited to have her. I know we're finishing up some last minute details before she will join us for our meeting in September. Sarah, are you online with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can. And feel free to say hello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to the meeting today to make some brief comments. It's a little bit of an awkward period because we're finalizing all of the details with my organization that I'm at currently, and with transitioning and making the final adjustments. But I do want to express my gratitude to the commission for nominating me and electing me to the position. I am overwhelmed in terms of how important the commission is and how important this role is. And I want to thank Cal OES, particularly Lori Nazura, for being so welcoming and supportive and guiding this process through. So I'm really excited to get going. but again, just in the final phases. So I apologize for this awkward period. But I think, you know, we've all experienced a bit of this in our professional backgrounds. But again, thank you so much. And I just want to thank everyone on the Executive Search Committee as well for their participation. And I look forward to learning and growing more with the commission. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and thank you for taking the time today. I know you're in a conference, so thank you for stepping out and just saying hello. Appreciate that very much, and look forward to seeing you in person come September.
Thanks.
So with
Thank you.
thank you. Again, moving on now to item 4 on the approval of the minutes. These are the minutes from April 10th, 2025. We can take both at the same time, one after the other.
Whatever.
We'll do one after the other. There's 2 sets of minutes that we need to approve today, and I'll look at my colleagues if there's any questions, comments, or concerns on the minutes of April 10th, 2025. And hearing no one, is there a motion to approve the minutes of April 10th, 2025?
I move to approve the minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Claire and a second by
Second.
Vice Chair Barnes. And with that, how about a roll call vote on the approval of the minutes of April 10th?
Chair Rabbit,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Bumblebee, represented by Irina Brosman.
Aye.
Commissioner Claire,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward, represented by Nate Ortiz.
Aye.
Commissioner Kim Lopez,
I believe I can't vote because I went virtual last minute. Right?
yes.
You're correct. Thank you.
Commissioner Pellerin, represented by Tomasa Dueñas.
Aye.
Commissioner Wells.
Aye.
Thanks, motion passes.
Great, thank you very much. And we'll do the same exercise now for the meetings of our meeting minutes for June 23rd, 2025. Again, asking any of my colleagues, any questions, comments, or concerns? And if not, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of June 23rd?
So,
So we have a motion by Vice Chair Garnes and a second by
Second.
Commissioner Claire. And hearing no further discussion, how about a roll call on those minutes?
Chair Rabbit,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garnes.
aye.
Commissioner Bumblebee, represented by Irina Brosman.
Aye.
Commissioner Claire,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward, represented by Nate Ortiz.
Aye.
Commissioner Pellerin, represented by Tomasa Dueñas.
Aye.
Commissioner Wells.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to item number 5, which is the sunsetting the Executive Director Recruitment Ad Hoc Committee. And I'll turn it over to our acting Executive Director for this action.
Thank you. So with the commission's appointment of Sarah McBride, the need for the ad hoc committee is no longer. And so we are recommending that we sunset this particular committee, and as such, we'll need a motion and a second.
Great,
Excuse me, I wanted to say thank you, and this committee, of course, was made up by Chair Rabbit and Vice Chair Garnes. And just their accessibility, responsiveness, excitement, input, all along the process was very much appreciated, and it was so easy to work with you and on this particular topic, which I thought that starting in on it was kind of daunting, but you handled it with grace. And the entire commission itself, great appreciation for your consideration. As you remember, you had 2 extremely talented individuals that you were considering. So I know that it was a hard decision, but I know that you'll be extremely happy with your new executive director going forward. So again, just looking to sunset that committee.
great, thank you very much. And I will also say thank you very much to Vice Chair Garnes, and thank you to everyone. And you're right, we had a tough decision because we had two great candidates. And it prompted a good discussion, I think, about where the commission is and where we wanted to go and how we thought we could get there. And so again, thank you very much. I think we're fortunate, and it was great to have Sarah join us this morning, and look forward again to having her here in person. So with my colleagues, once again, if there's any questions, comments, or concerns on the sunsetting of this ad hoc, and hopefully there's not, and with that, I'll look for a motion to sunset the ad hoc.
So
Motion. Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Garnes, a second by Commissioner Claire, and with that, another roll call.
Chair Rabbit,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garnes,
Aye.
Commissioner Bubba, represented by Irina Brosnan,
Aye.
Commissioner Claire,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward, represented by Nate Ortiz.
Aye.
Commissioner Pellerin, represented by Tomasa Dueñas,
Aye.
Commissioner Wells.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on then to item number 5, which is the Mobile Home Building Code Project Steering Committee appointment, and we'll turn this one over to our acting ED, Lori Deserve.
Thank you. So this is an ad hoc committee that the commission set up at its April meeting. The subject matter is extremely technical, and staff wanted to make sure that you had all of the technical representatives with you on the committee that would help as consultants provide that technical information for you. So our structural engineer, Wayne Conley, went out and found you probably the 4 best folks to act as technical experts. Their names are here on the screen for you. Mitchell Baker, Michael Barbary, Janelle Maffei, and Chase White, representing 3 different agencies, HCD, Housing and Community Development, the California Earthquake Authority, and the California Geological Survey. And each of them actually brings expertise of a different nature, a different perspective that you are going to need on this particular project. And of course, I believe Commissioner Claire and her representative have been extremely helpful, and being on this ad hoc committee as well. So we greatly appreciate yet another agency's expertise and perspective on this steering committee. So with that, I'll hand it back to you.
Great, thank you very much. I'll look to my colleagues to see if there's any, again, questions, comments, or concerns regarding the 4 appointees or proposed appointees for this steering committee.
And I believe we have a few of them on today, not all
Oh, great.
could make it.
I have Chase White from California Geological Survey on.
Well, I'll just say thank you very much, Chase, for agreeing to participate with this project steering committee. I know we had a briefing on this particular project. I know in California, mobile home parks are de facto, affordable housing. So, and a very unique circumstance, the way the whole park is set up, run, and governed. So look forward to making sure that we're ensuring safety, of course, at the same time, understanding the economic picture of and the forces at play to ensure that the mobile home parks continue to play that role in housing for California. So I do appreciate that. If there are no other questions, comments, or concerns, we would look for a motion for the appointment of these 4 folks onto this project steering committee.
I so move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Claire and a second by. Just make it easy today on that one. A second by Vice Chair Garnes, and with that, roll call vote.
Chair Rabbit,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garnes. Commissioner Bumblebee, represented by Irina Brosman,
Aye.
Commissioner Claire,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward, represented by Nate Ortiz. Commissioner Pellerin, represented by Tomasa Dueñas.
Aye.
Commissioner Wells.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you all very much, and thank you to those four individuals, and including yourself, Chase, of course, for stepping up. Moving on then to agenda item 6, which is the election of the chair and vice chair for this next year. And I'll turn to our executive director.
So just briefly, we did put out about a month and a half ago, a request to provide background and a letter of interest if you wanted to be considered for the chair or vice chair position. We did not get any formal responses from anyone, so I guess what we have to decide here today is, can we make a nomination here today, or is this something that we need to carry over to the next meeting? So I'll hand it back to you, Chair.
Well, I appreciate that. I'll look to my colleagues. If there's anyone who would like to either nominate or have any comments regarding the appointment of the chair and vice chair for this upcoming year.
I'll do the virtual hand and the actual hand. Again, I'm sorry that I couldn't be there. I had fully planned to be there, and because it's a last minute virtual, I can't vote, but I've been advised that I can make a motion. And I want to thank Chair Rabbit and Vice Chair Garnes. I think your leadership, we really appreciate it. So my nomination, my motion is to have both of you continue in your leadership role. Don't be mad.
I'll second that.
Appreciate that very much. Is there anyone else who has any suggestions, comments, or nominations?
We have
We have one online comment. One moment.
our legal counsel, Sarah.
Yes. We're just waiting for her to connect. One moment.
But
Sir, you can hear me? There we go.
she's on.
So Sarah Purcell is our legal counsel for the Site Acquisition Commission.
I believe it. She's trying to unmute herself.
Sarah Purcell, if you have any comments you want to make, feel free to unmute yourself and make those comments. Okay, so it doesn't appear that, that's from Sarah this time,
But I do think because of the
the meeting notice.
notice issue that we would be looking for a first and a second.
Right.
Based upon that, so I'll look to my colleagues. And I believe there was an informal motion made to continue the chair and vice chair that's in place now for this next year. But I'll look to my colleagues if someone wants to make that a formal motion, we can move.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm so sorry. I kept trying to unmute and the line wouldn't unline. Sorry, I apologize. Yes, the commissioner who made the motion to keep the chair and the vice chair, because she can't vote, cannot make a motion. The nomination stands, so we need a motion for a first to make that motion, and then we also need a second to second that motion.
I move that Chair Rabbit remains in the chair position and Vice Chair Garnes remains in the vice chair position. Thank you for pre-motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Claire. I'll let my colleagues, I can't see the screen today, but is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you very much, Representative Ortiz. So there's a motion and a second. And
I
we should
think
probably close nominations too. Well, I'm not sure. I want to make sure that it's, we hear from everyone. I'm sorry, what we're gonna add? Lauren?
I was gonna say, when we're, to the point of comment, they probably would like to hear if you'd like to continue. In your role.
That was a quick sidebar conversation. No, I appreciate it very much. I do not mind running the meeting. I know I need to leave about an hour earlier. We were just talking about maybe spend the night prior up here because the traffic is always worse than one anticipates. But I do appreciate the work of the staff, and I think this year, especially with having the acting executive director and then moving into the hiring process, and now the new executive director coming in, that and plus all the changes that we've had. And I think I've been around here perhaps the longest of anyone at this point, and appreciate the work so much that I'd be happy to continue going forward. So I appreciate that. Chair Garnes, Vice Chair Garnes.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the nomination and I'm happy to continue.
Great. So with that, roll call.
Chair Rabbit.
Aye.
Vice Chair Garn.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowman, represented by Irina Brosman.
Aye.
Commissioner Claire.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward, represented by Nate Ortiz.
Aye.
Commissioner Pellegrin, represented by Tomasa Dueñas.
Aye.
Commissioner Wells.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Well, great. Thank you all very much. And with that, we'll move on to agenda item 7, which is the CRAF funding, priorities and process. And back to you, Lauren.
So if you remember, in our April meeting, we had a presentation on the fund condition of the CRAF, the California Research Assistance Fund. And at that time, we talked a little bit about the background of the fund, the amount of the fund, the interest that it has been earning, and the kind of the commitments against the fund right now, which equal approximately $700,000 and $800,000 over the next 2 years. At that time, there was some discussion about creating a process whereby we could fund projects, because up to this point in time, we haven't had a specific process or priorities in place for what kinds of projects we want to fund as a commission. So staff put together, based on the conversation that we did have in April, we put together some options consistent with that discussion that we would like to go over with you today. You may choose to vote on one of those options, or you may choose to come up with your own. Or there's always the possibility that you would choose to create an ad hoc committee to do a little bit more research and come up with a proposal for you at your next meeting. So with that background, let's go ahead and look at the options that staff came up with. Option 1 is an annual funding, and I believe you also have this in your materials that were sent to you ahead of time. It's an annual funding option. And these dates were chosen specifically with regard to the fund, and when we get estimates of what the fund will be for the calendar year, and when we get actuals. So that's why it's a little specific in that regard. So annually at the October meeting, the Seismic Safety Commission will review the estimated fund balance and spending projections and begin the discussion of their funding priorities. And then at the January meeting, the Seismic Safety Commission will receive the final budget numbers and set the funding priorities for that year, amounts and the project categories that you would prioritize for the upcoming funding cycle. And the chair will announce the project funding application period open between February 1st through April 1st. I say if applicable, and that is because in any given year, you may choose not to fund any projects because of economic conditions, existing project caseload, or other reasons. But then at the April meeting, you can appoint 2 commissioners to an ad hoc project funding committee to review the applications. And we were envisioning that you would also probably spend time receiving those presentations from the requesters as you make your decision on prioritizing the projects for consideration. Depending on how many there are or what they are, you could then determine which of or all the presentations to recommend to the commission at their next meeting in July. And then you could, we would provide the entire commission with the requester information, the proposals and the presentations. You would see the presentations, you would deliberate and make your decisions then. And that timing works with the fiscal year as well, and the Cal OES processes, because by the time of the July meeting, we've opened up again for the next fiscal year, and our just administrative processes are free and clear to start contracting again. So that's option 1, a little bit more detail there. Option 2 is a little bit kind of a combo between kind of what we're doing now and option 1. So we still are looking at estimated fund balances in October, actual fund balances in January, and we're still setting priorities. But presentations for proposals are allowed at any meeting of the year, which is currently what we're doing. Whenever someone shows interest, then we set them for the agenda. But you only make funding decisions at your April and your October meetings, again, if applicable, if you have requesters and or the funding to do so. And then option 3 is really what we call the status quo. Whenever you give someone options, you always want to give them the status quo, and that is what we're doing now is as requests for proposal come up, we hear them and deliberate on them case by case. So I will turn it back over to you, Chair Rabbit, whether or not what kind of discussion you want to take on this item.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I did have one question. If we go with the option 1 or 2, where we kind of advertise or put notice out about, I think of it as a NOFA, kind of a notice of funding opportunity. Availability, I guess it is. What would the state requirement be? How onerous is it compared to what we do now?
I do not believe that it is onerous. We would, of course, do a posting on the website, on the front page of the website to make sure that that's known. And we would send that information out through, we'd have to build a listserv of any interested parties, but to our current listserv, we would send that out annually or biannually as the commission so chooses.
Okay, so it's not a huge administrative task.
It is not.
Okay,
And if you'll notice, option 1 does have an actual application period, so we'll have to develop the application. And so that lends itself very well to a NOFO process.
Yeah.
And option 2 doesn't specifically call out an application process. It's a little bit less restrictive, but we could still run a NOFO that way and just do kind of again, like we've been doing, someone verbally or sends us an email stating interest to present to the commission.
okay. I will look to my colleagues for any thoughts on the direction to go. Commissioner Clare.
So I just have a question between option one and option two. Your comments on option one, which is staff recommendation, says it ensures longevity of the craft. To method, an intentional administrative process to have staff and commissioners track and manage. So I guess my question is, for funding opportunities we've received in the past and looking forward to funding opportunities that we may receive, what is typically the application and award process? Because in an annual basis, we could miss a project we want to fund because it falls outside of the window if it's only annual, whereas we might capture it if it's biannual. Correct?
So I want to make sure I understand your question, so I may give you more information than you were looking for. So as far as timing is concerned, with an annual cycle, it is entirely possible that we may miss projects that are time bound. Because typically we will want to make the agreement for funding the proposal before the project begins. However, you know, once this process gets going and it is known, then folks hopefully will adjust their timetables to the commissions if this is funding that they're going to rely on for their particular project. As far as kind of the rationale behind the annual, in our discussion about the craft fund, we realized that, again, we have commitments, right now over the next 2 years of over $700,000. However, in the last 5 years, we have not even made $700,000 worth of interest on the fund. Ergo, with that commitment, we will see a decline in the principal of the fund. The staff, you know, in order to maintain the principal, in your priority selection annually, you could say, well, we're only going to spend as much money as we made in interest this last year. Or you could choose to say, you know, we anticipate that it's going to be a good year, or we know there are projects that cost more than what we've set aside for funding, so we'll do $100,000 or $200,000 worth of projects this year. We won't do any next year. Whatever the commission wants to do. So I know I gave you more information, but did I at least answer your question?
You did, especially with the first half and understanding the adjustment. You're right, there will be a predictability process to an annual. And if we miss a project as we get started because it's not known, that's the result. But I understand why option one would be beneficial in the longevity of the fund.
There's an online comment.
Okay,
Commissioner Kern Lopez?
Yes, so thank you for providing the options. I want to look at this maybe just in a slightly different way. Obviously, we definitely want to live within our means and we want to manage our budget. But I also think about sort of the purpose of this commission. We're dealing with unpredictable events, earthquake, wildfire, more of them occurring. And to have one point in time during the year that we do this, it would discourage people who miss the deadline to even let us know about the needs. What I think about is timing our budget discussion to that of the state, and we know that there's not much money there, but I think it's important to highlight the need that we're seeing as a Seismic Safety Commission. So even if we don't have those funding, perhaps we might be a connector and a facilitator to funding sources that exist. And Lori, you've been incredible in that regard, because when people have needs that are of what the commission looks at, if we don't have the funding to do it, we can certainly guide them to agencies and sources they might turn to that they are not aware of. But we wouldn't know the need if we just closed everything off at one point in time. So I think it's important to sort of allow the proposals to come in And I know it's a little bit sort of, we're reviewing them as we go, but I think the compilation of those requests start to give us what the funding needs are for various organizations who are trying to make California more resilient. And that might be an opportunity for us to also make a case as to why the Seismic Safety Commission should get additional funding, or at least have a mechanism to where we can pass people through to do the very important critical work that we need. So those are just some of my thoughts, because I want to encourage people and agencies to express needs and not be discouraged by deadlines and processes and procedures.
Great, thank you very much. Is there any other hands raised online? No. Please, Vice Chair Gross.
Now, the reason this actually came up, if my memory serves, which is, is because of the hit and miss kind of process. Like, you come in, we think, okay, then we spend money, and then next time something comes in, oh, now we can't because we did already, or that type of process. So, the previous comments in mind, is there, I think there's somewhere in option 2 where the requests can come in a longer period of time, but there's only one point in time that we actually vote on it, where we're saying, okay, because we've taken in as much as we can take in, we've reviewed. Because I think that for the longevity of the fund, just in case no other funds come in, it seems important that we do take as many proposals as we can get and review them and then decide, because the other way is more haphazard. And so I think, I don't know if that's option 1, option 2, I don't know how that'll work out, but I think that the process of the decision process of where the funds go should be made from a pile versus, something in January, something in May, that kind of situation. So that's my opinion.
Appreciate that. Is there, again, looking at anyone? No? I really, I think I said this last time, but I really do appreciate, bringing this whole issue up, because I think that, the kind of doing the one-off thing that we have been doing. The next meeting, honestly, there could be something
Bigger and better.
bigger and better, and we have already spent the cash going forward, so it's how there is something to be said for allowing continuous submissions. I worry sometimes if you limit it to a 2-month period, that you don't know what's happening with the other, whether it's the institutions or individuals that can get things together, and we might be missing out because of that as well. Which originally I was thinking of option 1 as being that a little more definitive, but maybe option 2 provides a little more flexibility. The other thing with option 1, I think we would have to talk about would be kind of the role of the ad hoc making the recommendations. Because we have so many, whether it's reducing earthquake risk or promoting preparedness. How would you prioritize within those wide range of things that you would get to bring forward? And that seems to be a bigger, broader discussion that should be had by the entire commission. So personally, I'd kind of lean to an option 2, maybe even on a hybrid point. I think it's important for us to make the awards based upon as many in front of us as possible, and a little more competitive, to be honest, rather than a one-off, so that we don't find ourselves not funding that one we wish we had, because we don't have the dollars. Plus, I think the financial awareness is just paramount. So I do appreciate that.
I've been taking notes, and I hear what you're saying, and so option 2 can be amended so that we are continuously receiving proposals, we are continuously viewing presentations, but one meeting a year, we're making our decisions. So that absolutely can happen, and I think in either case, the key here is the commission having that kind of strategic. It's not necessarily a formal strategic planning session, but a strategic priority setting, meeting early in the year. Can help guide you to, and even set expectations for the requesters. You know, throughout the year until you actually have your meeting where you decide upon. So we could amend option 2, just to add that. Well, we say here, funding decisions will be made only at the April and October meetings. We could do April and October. October only if, of course, funds are still available. Or we could just change it to October or whatever amendments you want to make on that.
And historically, has that been the case? Because that first meeting is really kind of coming up with the. We haven't
done that.
We haven't done, no. Okay. And Commissioner Claire.
Thank you. So I think it is important to have an ongoing submission process, just so that the decision to not pursue funding is made on the other end, because everything's closed and then we don't know of opportunities. Whereas if there's always an open submission, we're also aware of the breadth of what might be out there, or the organizations that are targeting resiliency efforts. And so as a hybrid solution, maybe we accept proposals ongoing, presentations could be made ongoing, but there is a close as to a specific time of year when we actually fund. And so that they know that window, and whether it's April and October, still have like perhaps a close, right? So that they know that if they're submitting when we're trying to do a hybrid that has some controls, but allows us to receive all types of proposals, so that if we need to, in some ways, we're not discouraging someone who has a specific funding window from ever applying because our windows are too rigid.
Right. I think that can be accommodated in option 2.
It's a great point. We do that with our open space district. And at some point you cut it off because you have to decide among the pool you have, but you're allowed to continue to be in the next cycle if so. Or even if you don't get chosen, quite honestly, you can go get assigned that way, because who knows what's going to be turned in any given year for request. Anyone online? Do we have this as an action item or direction? I think you have direction.
You can take action on any item.
Okay.
We would just need a motion.
Okay, I think I'll look for a motion to pursue option 2 as discussed, with some of those amendments of a continuous application period, but setting a definitive date to score and fund and make those funding decisions going forward. Anyone have any discussion on that?
Same and online.
Okay. I'll look for a motion. We have a motion, Anna.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Yeah. With that direction, pursuing option 2, as described by the discussion today, and do appreciate you bringing us the options and thinking through this. I think it's will be a better process. Thank you very much.
Are we ready for a roll call?
What's that?
Ready for a roll call?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Chair Rabbit,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Bumblebug, represented by Irina Brosman.
Aye.
Commissioner Claire.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward, represented by Nate Ortiz.
Aye.
Commissioner Pellerin, represented by Tomasa Dueñas.
Aye.
And Commissioner Wells.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Great, thank you very much, and thank you again. We'll move on then to talk about our logo use policy. This is item number 8, and I'll turn it back to you, Lori.
Okay, thank you. Yes, this was one the commission actually brought up in January and requested a logo policy, Commissioner Silva to be exact. And staff has worked with Cal OES and Seismic Safety Commission legal team and looked at many examples. They have prepared a logo use policy and provided a draft to you for your consideration in your materials. It includes authorized use, requests for permission, acceptable format, size, modifications, media requests, kind of the standard. So, and we provided that to you again in your materials.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions of staff on this particular item? I do have one, and I'm not sure if I saw it in here. Do we require, when we fund a project, that the logo be displayed somewhere on whether it's promotional or agenda or?
Great question, and I'm glad you asked that. Because one thing that staff and I have been working on is standardized templates for both internal and external reports that the commission has sponsored. And so we have actually created 2 templates. And they essentially look the same, and they include the state of California logo, the Seismic Safety Commission logo, and the Cal OES logo. And then they have a certain look to them so that we can have consistency in branding with commission products. And the color will vary depending upon whether it was an internally done report or whether or not we essentially had a vendor contractor do the report for us. So the answer to your question, I'm sorry, I'm using lots of words today. It's yes.
No, I think that's good. It should be known. It's good transparency, and it's good to make sure that we own that piece of work and that we supported. Any other discussion from any? We do have a hand up.
Representative Dueñas?
Just out of curiosity, since as a member Pellerin was not on the commission back in January, what prompted the need to develop the logo? Was like, did somebody abuse the use of the logo that prompted it, or is it just lack of having a policy that prompted the developing
Thank
of
you for
it?
that question, if I may.
Please.
No, it was not a misuse of the logo. Pardon me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes, it wasn't a misuse that prompted it. It was actually preemptive, because we have recently embarked on a series of proposals that we have funded per our last discussion, and we knew that we would have reports ready to be published soon, and so the commissioner wanted to make sure that we had a logo policy in place.
Thank you. And then just another quick question in terms of where the policy goes into the process by which somebody would request permission to use the logo. Just sort of out of curiosity, is this going to be posted conspicuously like on the website, or how is the public, a potential partner, going to know that they need to go through this process to request use of the logo?
Great question, and yes, this would be posted on our website. And we also have staff contact information on our website, so if an individual called in asking what our policy is, we could provide it that way as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Commissioner Clark?
Yes, thank you. A quick amendment on the SSC reserves the right to request additional information about the intended use. I would add and limit. Or at the second sentence, at its discretion, the SSC may request a mock-up or draft exemplifying the way the logo would be used in its placement, and place restrictions on how it can be used. I just wanted to be clear that it's not, they can show us and then do it. I think that we should retain some kind of control over if we see what the product is, that we have some restriction on how we use.
Absolutely, and we have the transcript and staff are taking notes, so we can get that language into the motion.
Great. Anything else from any of my colleagues here? No, and no other hands on. So I do appreciate the fact we just seems to be very good practice to make sure that we're controlling the organization's name and logo.
Sure.
Please go ahead.
So when someone is producing told.
As we write up the statement of work and the contract agreement, we include in there that they have to adhere to this Seismic Safety Commission logo policy. There are instances in which it's in a different situation. For example, you know, there's an earthquake safety convention or something, and they want to be able to maybe cite a work that was done through the Seismic Safety Commission, and so they'll wanna like use the logo on the program, you know, and in which case we would send them the logo use policy and again, say you need to adhere to it. So having it actually written out in a deliverable that we can hand to someone, I think is very helpful, and our legal team likes that idea too.
Of course they do. Again, any other hands raised, any other discussion? So I'll look for a motion to move staff's recommendation with the additional amendment as offered.
Yeah.
Which I think we have. If you have any questions on that, let us know.
I certainly will look at policy as amended.
Great.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All clear? We're all clear. We'll have a roll call vote.
Chair Rabbit,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garnes,
Aye.
Commissioner Bubba, represented by Irina Brosnan,
Aye.
Commissioner Claire,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward, represented by Nate Ortiz.
Aye.
Commissioner Pellerin, represented by Tomasa Dueñas.
Aye.
Commissioner Wells.
Aye.
Motion passes as amended.
Great. We're at that point in the agenda where it says break. Or how are we for time?
I think we're running ahead of schedule right now,
If we're running ahead of schedule, we'll just continue. Is that okay?
whatever you'd like to do.
Looking to my colleagues.
Like break, but.
We'll take an abbreviated break.
Thank you, yes.
How about a quick 5 seconds?
Yes.
Perfect.
10 minutes back at 11.
Thank you.
So we'll return at 11:30.
All right, welcome back. Thank you very much for your patience. We'll move on then to item number 9, which is regarding the Miramar earthquake. And we have Dr. Wendy Bowen from California Geological Survey here with us. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for inviting me. So, thank you again for having me. I'm excited to be here to talk to you about earthquakes, my favorite thing to talk about. I am the Seismic Hazards and Earthquake Engineering Branch Chief of the California Geological Survey. So good news for you, I love to tell stories. Bad news for you, I'm a geologist. So I like to start at the beginning, and when you're a geologist, that is way back. So we're going 50 million years ago, give or take 2 or 3 million years, to when the Indian subcontinent collided with Eurasia. And that's what started this whole predicament. So that complicated looking graphic on the right, what I want you to get from that is there's a lot happening. So we can measure the motions of the ground using GPS instruments or GNSS instruments. And at the end of every single one of those arrows is a little GPS instrument. It's measuring the motion of the ground in 3 directions, up, down, side to side. And the direction of that arrow is showing you the direction the ground is moving. The length of the arrow is showing you how quickly the ground is moving. The important thing is that not all the arrows are pointing in the same direction, and they're not all moving at the same speed. So if you imagine 1 foot over there in India and 1 foot over there in Myanmar, that's not great, right? You're on roller skates. 1 foot's going fast in one direction, 1 foot's going slow in a totally different direction. Something has to give. And that's when we start to get breaks in the earth, faults. This is where the earthquakes happen. One of the faults that's happening to take up some of this deformation, some of this movement, is the Sagaing Fault in Myanmar. And so that's a right lateral strike slip fault. All that means is that it's sliding horizontally. Like, whoop, go back, I forgot to do the ball. So there we go, sliding horizontally, and it could move to the left. This one's not, this one's moving to the right. So if you imagine you're standing on that street, looking across the fault, it looks like it's moved to the right. If you're on the top and you're looking down, it also looks like it's moved to the right. So I'm going to show a little movie here that is demonstrating exactly how seismically active this area is. So this is earthquakes from 1900 until 2020 that are going to come up on the image on the left. I want you to take note in particular of how many large earthquakes happen in this area. Not all of them happen on the Sagaing Fault, but many of them do. So we'll keep watching that. And also, they're represented by dots. And that's the way we usually see earthquakes on maps. But when you get into these larger earthquakes, magnitude 7s, magnitude 8s, that's breaking the ground for hundreds of kilometers. And so a dot isn't really representative of what's happening. We look at the image on the left there, those ellipses that you see, that's showing the area of the fault that breaks. So faults unzip like zippers. They have a length and they have a depth down into the earth. And the more area that breaks, the larger magnitude earthquake you get. So you can see there's lots of earthquakes along that fault right there. We're still going over here. Look at all of these earthquakes. So if we look along the Sagaing Fault in the right-hand image, these are all historic large earthquakes that have happened along that fault. 1931, 46, 91, 46, 56, 29, 30, and 30. You see there's a big gap in the middle there? That's called a seismic gap. We know that there's still the plate moving, right? And so there's stress and strain building up inside the crust, and eventually that thing has to go. And it did in this most recent earthquake. So it ruptured that seismic gap, but also ruptured a little bit to the north of where that gap was and to the south. So the earthquake itself was a magnitude 7.8. It was on the Sagaing Fault system, and it ruptured 480 kilometers of that fault. It was the second deadliest earthquake to occur in Myanmar, and it caused damage not just in that country, but in surrounding areas as well, Thailand, China, and Vietnam. The image in the middle is showing the shaking distribution, the intensity of shaking from that earthquake. The greens and blues are light, weak, or moderate shaking. And as you move into the warmer colors, the strong, very strong, violent, and extreme shaking, you can see are closest to where the fault was. The farthest image on the left is from the Sentinel Earth orbiting satellites. And it's really interesting. All of the geologists were very interested in this image because it's showing the amount of displacement or how much the fault moved. And on the left-hand side, you can see it's mostly red. which meant it moved towards the north. And on the right-hand side, it's mostly blue. That part moved towards the south. So this is actual data showing us that full 480 kilometers of fault rupture. Within an hour after every earthquake, the USGS puts out a pager report, and this gives us information about what's happened and what we can expect based on the statistics and data that they have. So let's just walk through this briefly for this particular earthquake. There's estimated fatalities and estimated economic losses. This was a red alert. There were high casualties expected and extensive damage probable, and we know unfortunately that was the case. They also give information on the estimated population that may be exposed to earthquake shaking. The map down here is showing the population density with the different sort of black and white colors. And then on top of that is the shaking intensity. And you can see that across the top. So the numbers are up there, and those are actually in millions. So 2.6 million people exposed to violent shaking, 5 million people exposed to severe shaking, and so on. It also gives us information about the structures and historical earthquakes. So in this particular area, the population we knew resided in structures that could be vulnerable to earthquake shaking, although resistant structures were around in the country. And unfortunately, we know this was also the case. There was a lot of damage. Most of the images I'm going to show here are from near the epicenter. So this is the Sky Via condominiums. This is the remote sensing. You can see the before and then the after the collapse. And then that's an oblique view of the same area. This is the Ava Bridge. The image on the left is sort of a zoomed out. We're interested in the bridge on the bottom. And then a zoomed in version, you can see the collapse signature in the remote sensing and then what that looks like on the ground. I started zooming around, just looking in Google Earth to see what I could see with the naked eye. And I was able to find, unfortunately, again, a lot of damage around different cities close to the earthquake epicenter. So this is the University of Mandalay, and on Google Earth, you can go back and look at the data from before. So I went back a month before and looked at the data from March 6th, and then from the month after the earthquake. So the images on the right, those are our cultural areas, monasteries and pagodas that were severely damaged by the earthquake. So we've looked at sort of some of the infrastructure. I don't like to dwell on that because it can be really triggering for people to see the damage and destruction, know that people lost their lives. So let's look at some of the things that we're going to see in the landscape from earthquakes, because as an earthquake geologist, that's what I tend to focus on. So we're back to this NASA image showing the displacement of the ground or how much it moved. And that is a knife edge. Look at how sharp that is. What does it look like on the ground? As you get closer, it gets to be more complicated. So this is an image from a scientific paper that's in review right now in Seismic, and it's showing a Google Earth image on the left where the ground broke. So they've gone in and outlined in white all of the areas that were deformed or changed by movement of the fault. You can see the main line going down, and you can see some off to the side. And then I've highlighted a particular area in yellow down there. And what I want to show you is how to get up and show you. It can be hard to get your head around it if you're not used to looking at this, right? So cutting up through the middle right here, you can see the scar going across the landscape, and it has little splays in different places. That is the main fault rupture. And then over here, we have areas where the ground was deformed either by the shaking, or it could be additional fault ruptures off to the side. There's some more over here that's harder to see. But you can really start to see that this is a right lateral strike slip fault. You follow these little ditches, off it goes to the right. Follow it along, it moves to the right. Follow it along, it moves to the right. Could you advance for me really quickly? Thank you. This is some of the most extraordinary CCTV footage that I've ever seen in my life. We have watched this 1,000 times if we've watched it once. So this is about 120 kilometers south of the epicenter. And this is just a random security camera footage. And what it's going to show you is the very first time that an earthquake rupture has been seen, right? This is the ground actually breaking. We've seen structures fall, we've seen buildings shake. We've never actually seen the ground break. We simulate it in laboratories. We look at it in the seismic instrumentation records. We look at it in the field after earthquakes happen, but we've never actually seen it until now. So what we're going to look at, and this is going to loop a couple of times, I'm gonna have you look in different places. Here's the shaking. And that happens before the ground breaks. Okay, that was the first time. Now we're gonna look right over here at these buildings right here. The earthquake is gonna come right through here. You're gonna see the ground unzip like a zipper. So keep your eye focused over there. Here we go again. The shaking starts before the ground breaks. There it goes. And then you had a water tank fall off the top. Now what I want you to do is look at this whole section back here. So look through the gate and look over here at this whole chunk of land. And you're gonna see that whole thing move to the right as one cohesive block. It's really extraordinary. Do you see it? I mean, it's wild. Okay, now we want to look at this tower over here and also at some of these cracks that appear down here. So these are the same things that we see, the aftermath of the earthquake, but now we're actually seeing how and when they form. There it goes, ripping through. Now look right here. So the more you look at these types of images, the more you see. I'm happy to provide people with a link to this, although, you know, just Google it and it'll pop up. But it really is interesting footage that researchers are spending a lot of time, spending a lot of time examining, and there's a lot of really interesting data that's come out of this. So here is one particular paper where they've been doing a pixel analysis to see exactly what's happening. The important thing for us in this conversation is that in this particular location, the fault moved 2.2 meters. So when we saw the landslide, it moved 2.2 meters. So we're looking back, and that's the little archway we were looking through before. So we're standing now looking along where the fault broke. The left-hand side, that's Myanmar. That's called a mole trap. Looks like a giant mole went underneath the ground. These are really common in strike slip earthquakes. You can see that we have our own mole traps. This was from the Ridgecrest earthquake in 2019, the magnitude 7.1. Are those the only similarities that we get mole tracks? So here's the Sagaing fault. It's between, 1,200, 1,300 kilometers, right lateral strike slip fault, continental scale. You know another one like that? Because I do. Same length, same sense of motion. Okay, our fault starts down there in Bombay Beach by the Salton Sea, runs along the length of California up until just south of Eureka when it takes a hard left turn and goes out to sea. So let's compare and contrast a little bit. Same type of fault, same basic length. Let's look at the earthquake history. So you've seen that image over on the right. This has been a pretty active fault in historic times, the Sagaing fault. What about the San Andreas? Well, we have the 1906 earthquake, we have the 1857 earthquake, and then we have the earthquake the last time the southern part of the San Andreas ruptured was around 1690. So that our fault is a little bit historically quieter than the Sagaing fault has been. But we can go back in the record to extend it beyond the historical record using tricks like paleoseismology. So this is an old graphic, but it gives you a good idea of some of the other earthquakes that have happened. We're just going to look at the southern San Andreas since have this great video. So there were other earthquakes that have occurred here, and they occur in different parts of the fault because it acts differently in different sections. Some sections will break together, sometimes they break independently. But this gives us an idea of what has happened in the past on our fault. We're not just interested, though, in when the earthquake happened and what part of the fault it happened on. We also want to know how much it moved, right? Were these earthquakes the same amount of motion that we saw in the Myanmar earthquake? How much did the whole fault move in Myanmar? So let's think about that for a second. This is that fault again. That's the data from the satellite that's showing it moving, the displacement. Up at the top, that's where it experienced the most motion. It was north of the epicenter, up to 7 meters of motion. So that's 23 feet. And then we know where we were before at the camera, that was 2.2 meters or about 7 feet. And then south of the epicenter, it was pretty variable, between 1 and 6 meters. It moved in different places. So what about the San Andreas? What did the San Andreas do? Would it be comparable to this? Would it be different? Well, you may remember 2008, there was the shake alert, the shakeout scenario. Actually, shake alert so much, it just comes in. And this was a hypothetical earthquake that could potentially happen on the San Andreas, a magnitude 7.8. So the same magnitude as the Myanmar earthquake. So this is a really good thing that we can use to compare, but we can't do the whole thing. We don't have time. So let's just focus on the Cajon Pass, the area in yellow. So the Cajon Pass is there because the San Andreas Fault cuts through that area. It also is a really easy way to get infrastructure and critical lifelines over the San Bernardino Mountains. So you have kind of a narrowing of location of all of the critical lifelines that are cutting through that area. And this is from the scenario. The red line is the San Andreas Fault, and I just want to point out some of the critical infrastructure that's passing through here. We have gas and oil pipelines, power lines, railroads, fiber optic cables, and this little thing called the 15 freeway. Okay, so how much could this move? Well, it's variable. This is a model and it's giving us different estimates across the fault. So somewhere between 2.8 and 6.1 meters. What does that actually look like though? Let's measure. We get this other end, Lori. So we're gonna stand next to each other. You scoot down here by Jeremy. We're gonna stand next to each other because you're gonna be on one side of the fault and I'm gonna be on the other side of the fault, okay? And we are standing in the middle of 15. All right, what if the fault moved the lowest amount? You know, 2.5, which is about what we saw in that video. We're about here. What if it moved the maximum amount? What would that look like on the 15? What would that do to a railroad? What would that do to the fiber optic cables that are giving us our communications? But if we think about it, this is just one of the big threats that earthquakes are posing to us, to our infrastructure, to our cities, right? Because none of the damage that we looked at from the pictures that we were looking at, none of that was directly on top of the fault. That was all a result of the shaking. And as it turns out, the San Andreas isn't the only fault that can cause damaging shaking in California. There's just some of the other ones in Southern California. What if we expand out to the whole state? Any of these faults could cause damaging shaking to nearby communities. So in addition to thinking about areas of the fault that could break and how much they might move, we also need to think about this shaking. What is the shaking intensity that we could experience? We have a map for that. It's brand new. It was just released yesterday. So this is the updated shaking potential map for California. And I just want to be clear that the legend there isn't no shaking to some shaking. It's strong shaking to devastating shaking. And of course, the areas closest to the active faults are the ones that could experience the highest levels of shaking. But you can also see the effects that the local rock and soil conditions have, those basin effects that cause the shaking to be amplified. You shake harder and for a longer period of time. So this isn't meant to scare anybody. Knowledge is power, and we can take this and we can use this to make informed decisions. So there's a web page that goes along with this. You can scan the QR code down there. It gives you more information about the map sheet, gives you information about the science behind it, and there are key messages for Californians. So what can we take away from the Myanmar earthquake? There's a lot of lessons and there's a lot of similarities. We can take all of these lessons, we can learn from that earthquake and apply it to our situation in order to make sure that we can keep California safe. Thanks. I'll let you on time.
Well, that was one of the reasons I love to be on this commission, is doing this kind of presentation, so thank you so much.
My pleasure, thank you.
That is something, I am also gonna go home and wrap myself in bubble wrap.
You can see that from us. They have questions.
We do have one.
I see some.
Okay.
We do have a hand raised online, so we'll go there first.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. That was very sobering and important because I think we tend to lose sight of the vulnerabilities that we have in California. And because of the great work that you do, it's perhaps a question / comment is that, you know, all the critical lifeline infrastructure you pointed out, you know, one of the things, I'm in the water industry. So when it comes to water and wastewater, these are always infrastructure that get taken for granted because it's just sometimes out of sight. And as you're doing all these modeling and projections and predictions, is water, wastewater infrastructure and the impact of that part of what you assess? Because I'm hoping it is.
We work with partner agencies to ensure that they have the information they need for whatever critical infrastructure it is that they're in charge of. So we're always working to build those partnerships and relationships. And, you know, we put the science out there that can then be used by our partners in that way. So, you know, as you say, water is critical for California. And when we're thinking about places where we maybe need to improve our resiliency, there's a lot of them. Wastewater is one, what we do after earthquakes. Again, this is not necessarily my area. We do the science and then provide the science and try and ensure that people understand it and that it's usable and useful. But, you know, always happy to talk to the people that are thinking through those particular problems.
Yeah, and maybe just a request for consideration when you do these visuals, which are really powerful, like the 15 freeway. Maybe if you could include a label that says water, wastewater, just so that we are part of the conversation, and it kind of alerts the water and the wastewater community that we really are vulnerable. So it's just a request that I make because all the visuals and everything that you showed was very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other,
No online comment.
no other online? And
I just wondered, do we have access to that presentation or?
Yeah, we'll make sure that you have that presentation, sent to you afterwards.
Thank you. That was very, very, very good
Thank you.
presentation. I appreciate it.
Following up with the commissioner's comment though regarding, I understand what you can do for utilities or any kind of underground, whatever, if there's a little shaking. I don't know what you do when it's 7 to 23 feet of an offset.
There are mitigation strategies for just about everything. Most of them are engineering based. Some of the ones that I'm aware of, you know, there's the pipeline in Alaska, and after the Denali earthquake, they had actually put the pipeline on rollers because they knew it crossed the fault. And it went to the very edge of the rollers, but it did not break. The pipeline moved and it survived. So planning ahead with that sort of infrastructure and those sorts of engineering mitigations in mind can save us a lot of heartache down the road. But we have to identify fault first,
Right.
which is our role in that process.
Yeah, and I can stop, there are mitigations for everything, as long as you have money, mitigations, I would imagine. So I'm really thinking about it above ground, in that kind of situation is.
That has been one of the considerations when we talk fire following earthquake, because there are certain portions of our state where above ground water mitigation strategies are already in place and are working. And there's places where, and Southern California is kind of what I'm talking about, where it's all undergrounded, and you can imagine the opportunity for the mitigation it's either not there or there's other things that need to be researched and put in place for those situations, because if it's in the ground and the ground is going like this, you'd think it's just gonna snap right off. So yeah, and so finding if that is the way it has, the infrastructure has to be, then as emergency management folks, we have to think about, okay, post-disaster, what kind of, recovery, initial recovery, so that people can get their water and wastewater, back, as quickly as possible. Can we put in place, can we bring in, can we mobilize, if you will? And then what interim and long-term strategies do we need to look at? And this is a huge population base in Southern California, so it's daunting.
And the map of all the faults also is fascinating to me, and I'm familiar with. I was talking to Commissioner Lopez about up in Mendocino County, Lake County, actually, there's a dam that's destined to come down. Its seismic strength has been questioned, and due to a new fault that was discovered. Can you, how often are new faults discovered, or how often are the fault lines fine? To really understand those places where a utility might cross that.
That's a great question. I'm trying, there's a lot of different ways to answer that. So we have new technology now that can help us to locate faults. Faults leave clues on the surface. And so we can sort of figure out what those clues are, but not all faults have earthquakes often enough to leave strong markers. And so tools like LiDAR are helping us to find faults that we didn't know were there before. Things like INSAR, a different kind of satellite, is helping us to see faults that are creeping really slow, moving slowly instead of moving in catastrophic earthquakes, or alternating between large earthquakes and this creeping behavior. So there was recently a strand of the Concord Fault that was identified by INSAR. And so as we have new tools, we're able to learn new things. And that is updating our understanding of where the faults are. So we're making our best guesses based on the clues in the landscape, and now we have these new powerful tools. And I'm sure that will continue because we're on the play boundary, and that's just how things are for us. Earthquake country.
Fascinating.
But we don't know what we don't know, is the
Yeah.
other part of that. So we're looking to learn and find out all the time.
Which is great. Thank you. Again, looking at my colleagues, anything? No other hands raised online?
No online comment.
Obviously an informational item here in front of us. Thank you. Very much appreciated. We'll move on into agenda item 10, which is really talking about our project updates. Turn it to you.
So that's a really hard act to follow. But I think it really underscores why we undertake the projects that we do here at the commission. And maybe we'll look at them kind of with a different perspective today based on what we just saw. So we do have quite a few open projects that we're working on, as we've mentioned before in this meeting. The first I'll bring up is the Ferndale Turkey Project. As you know, it's a 3-part. We've already done the first part. It was a report that's published on our website. Part 2 is being conducted for us by Peer at UC Berkeley. It's now moving into the regional scale assessments portion. There's 2 levels, if you will. The first level we looked at, we're looking at, and that's what we're on right now, national structure inventory data. And we make certain hazardous assumptions. We use the retrofit database. And we've got 2 areas of the state that we're looking at. We're looking at Hayward, where is it? Hayward and Los Angeles area. And so the Bay Area and the Los Angeles area. We're on Bay Area level 1 analysis now, and it's expected to be available for review by the ad hoc committee by somewhere in the middle of September. And then following that, once that gets done, then the next step will be the LA metro area. And then we move into the level 2 analysis, which is where we take a look at the most impacted portions of that regional assessment. And then we use more detailed down to the building level, the building type level analysis to see, to take a closer look at the building health, in other words. So we're looking at a potential early 2026 date for that portion of the project. And that's when we had a delay, a little bit of a delay in that one. So it is a little later than we had anticipated, but it's still moving on the new schedule now. Then part 3 was the presentation that we were going to have today, but unfortunately there was an unexpected illness. We have a draft report completed for the commission's viewing, and it's called Innovative Metrics. Beyond Earthquake Damage, Innovative Metrics for Economic and Community Recovery. It's a long name, but essentially what it's doing is it's taking a look at kind of that equity in in economic and community recovery, and it also, takes a further look at, disaster assistance that is currently available through the federal government, and whether or not that is actually reaching and getting where it needs to go. And that was kind of born out of the Ferndale earthquake, and Rio Dell earthquakes, where they did not receive a federal declaration and federal, individual assistance and public assistance. So more to come on that, hopefully at the next meeting, we will bring it to you. I do apologize, in the room, the screen that we're looking at is blinking in and out because I guess there's a diode on the TV screen that's going out. So you may, hopefully no one here is having any reaction to that blinking in and out. And online, hopefully you're not seeing it, so you have no idea what I'm talking about. Moving on, we started the morning looking at the shake table project, which is, I'm really excited about this one. And, the seismic testing phase is complete. So they did that in two different, time periods, and some of you were able to see that. And if you're interested, we can provide you the link. In fact, do we have that today?
Video.
Cue up the video. This is the seismic test. Watch closely. This is our building. It's cold form steel, for which we do not have a seismic retrofit code in place. So that's why we're doing it. We built it on the shake table, and here we go. Then they give it a good shake. I would not want to be in the top floors of that. Then, as Chair Rabbit said earlier, they do an analysis on the impact of that shaking and whether or not there's any damages. And then the next phase, which is what started today, in two different time periods, they're going to be setting fire now to that same building that was potentially it has vulnerabilities now based on, that's interesting. Oh, don't tell me we're going there again. We now get the other screen on. Okay. Yeah, that's bringing us a lot. So the live fire testing, then we'll test and see if there's any vulnerabilities, and then if that fire following earthquake, if there's anything we can learn about it, from both a building health aspect and a the occupancy safety aspect. So more to come on that. They'll do it again on the 24th of next week, and then they'll do their analyses.
I should know this, but that shape was the equivalent of
That's what I was
the
getting.
size earthquake.
Anybody in the room, John?
Yeah, it's a 2,500-year return period earthquake.
Which is what magnitude?
It's actually an incredible earthquake that.
Is it like 7.0 or?
I believe it's a 7.2.
Yeah, 7.2.
I'll get the information right now.
That's what we think. Okay, so moving on to the next one, again, a really exciting project that the commission has embarked on. This through the BRIC, remember that federal grant that was discontinued in large part, but there were a couple that were already obligated and allowed to move forward, and we were in that bucket. So we're just getting started on this, and Chair Rabbit and Commissioner Bumbalov are the ad hoc committee members, and we have also added those 4 folks that have the expertise from HCD's, Earthquake Authority and CGS, to help advise on that. And the request for proposal has begun. Staff have prepared scope of work and are waiting for the opening of the new fiscal year contract season. So we're getting close to where the blackout ends at the beginning of each fiscal year, and then we can start the proposal process. Any questions? I'm sorry, I have just been going through these pretty quick. Are there any questions about any of these projects? And seeing none, we'll move on to the earthquakes and climate change workshop. As you remember, this had been put on hold because of the LA wildfires. And we have not, as a group, all gotten together yet to set a date. It's not forgotten, but we just haven't, I have no new information on this one.
Well,
Yes,
I have one. So it was based on the Loma Prieta in 1989.
you can be louder.
So the shake table test was based on the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake, so that was a 6.9 magnitude.
Thank you. Okay, and then we actually have 2 open projects that Dr. Scott Thorne brought to us. One was the reducing post-earthquake ignitions, and that's by installing these gas valves that turn off the gas at the residential level. And then improving post-earthquake firefighting water capacity reliability. And that is where we discussed last time, where we'll take a look at, we'll redo a survey that we did to fire departments, also including water agencies. And then with that information and the analysis that comes with it, like essentially the readiness of these departments and agencies and their infrastructure, then the commission will be able to potentially convene workshops across the state with water and fire folks to kind of talk through, okay, so we know there are certain mitigations that can take place. What are your barriers? What can we do together? Are there policies that we need to work together on changing, adding? And so that's something for kind of the future, a future project that we're looking at. One of the things that we've discovered is kind of in our contracting process, just kind of administratively, we're having an issue getting both projects through separately. So we're in the process of combining them into a single project, phase 1, phase 2, and moving those forward. It's an administrative issue, but I just wanted to let you know that's why we're just a tiny bit behind on the contract on this one. Any questions? Comments? Okay, the seismic safety website project, we had gone out with a proposal. We have to go out again because we did not get sufficient response to that. We've changed our scope of work a little bit. We've put out our RFO, we've got some responses now, and we're working internally with the Cal OES Earthquake Early Warning Program and Cal OES IT to evaluate those proposals. So hopefully by the next meeting, we can have something more definite for you. Quake Heroes. So the dubbing from Spanish to Chinese is continuing. And they're working on, let's see, registration for actually doing viewings, and a notification will be sent to you once that is available. We're thinking events will start to begin somewhere in fall 2025, and hopefully if you have a viewing near you, you'll be able to attend and see. I've seen it. It's pretty amazing. It really is. It's like a feature movie. And it actually includes, he's left now, but one of our Caloies, he's right now. Our Caloies fire deputy chiefs is actually in the movie. He's
And I like all our film.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. We are, because we're a little behind, we got behind because of the wildfires, because if you remember, they're based in Los Angeles. We're actually working on a contract extension on that one. And then finally, our fire station seismic vulnerability project. This is also, it's a project that we had embarked on, and there's also a piece of legislation that requires us to report on certain aspects of this topic. So we've already put out our surveys, gotten our surveys back from the fire stations. We're doing our quality control of that. That should be completed by the end of this month. Once complete, then we'll begin our analysis. And that includes, there's two phases. In the first phase, we use the default HAZIS data to run. And in phase two, where we're going next, we're gonna take the actual data from the surveys and kind of plug the holes in the HAZIS assumptions. And so that'll give us, for instance, like the type of building and the date of construction will have actuals that we can plug in, and we're gonna rerun it and do our analysis of that. So the AB 1770 report is due annually, starting Jan 1, 2026. We're on target. We've already started coordinating with CAL FIRE because the law actually cites one piece of data that they're looking for in the report is the minimum fire hazard. Where these stations are located, and we don't at CalOES or Seismic Safety Commission possess that information. We're working with CAL FIRE to get it. And we're also working with CalOES Earthquake Early Warning, because another piece of data in the report has to do with whether or not the stations have implemented earthquake early warning or are interested in doing so. So we do have, we're collecting that data, and we've created a dashboard.
This is the dashboard.
Is it available to the commissioners right now? It's internal, right? Okay, sorry. This is our internal dashboard. We're working to make it available to you.
What are the red and yellow ones?
The yellow are items which have already been QC, so quality control. The red items, we are working to validate that they are all active fire stations, which we expect to have completed by the end of this month, so that the analysis can begin.
Thank you.
So I know that was a lot to throw at you in a short period of time. Happy to take any questions now, or if you think of them in a couple hours, just email me, and I'm happy to give you further updates and information.
Well, thank you for all those updates. Very much appreciate that. I'll look, is there anyone online with the hand raised? Any questions here for? Thank you. Lots of work going on. Appreciate that. Moving on then real quickly to agenda item 11, which is information only on miscellaneous announcements. Did we just not do that?
I did want to just mention one thing if I could.
Sure.
The CalOES Earthquake Early Warning Team sponsored the translation of the homeowner, the hog and the cog, into 2 additional languages. And so I believe that's either done or close to it.
So the translation has been received, and we are working with the CalOES PIO team to integrate them with the visuals.
And then we'll be able to put them on the website in those additional languages.
That's great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Is there any announcements from any of my colleagues?
None online.
Great, we'll move on then to public comment. I believe we have at least one.
Yes.
So we'll work to unmute, I don't wanna mispronounce the name, an individual of the public submitted a request to speak, so if you are able to unmute yourself, please do so.
They have the ability, we're just waiting for them to,
Okay,
here we go.
there we go. Can we see a visual? If you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
Hello?
Hello, yes, would you please introduce yourself
Yeah.
and go ahead and make your comments? Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes. Hi, dear commissioners. My name is Professor Jichan Gu, 84 years of seismologist. I graduated from and worked at Beijing University Chinese Academy of Sciences, Brown University, Harvard University, and MIT. I now direct the GU Institute for Earthquake Prediction, a nonprofit scientific institute in Boston. It's a great honor to speak with you today. We are currently the only research organization in the world solely dedicated to the prediction for major earthquakes. Since its establishment, California is always our top priority, the most urgent and critical focus of our work. Our team has developed a new scientific theory and methodology that enable reliable earthquake prediction. We are now preparing to host a global press conference to share our latest scientific findings with the public. At this event, we will present two key breakthroughs. Number one, we have scientifically proven that earthquakes are predictable. Details will be released in our upcoming press conference. Number two, we will announce the prediction for the potential magnitude 8 or 9 earthquake in California. That means we will tell which year, which month, which day it will be. Today, I respectfully to ask for your attention and support. Earthquake prediction is no longer a fantasy. It's a scientific goal with reach. But to realize it, we need your help. To contact with California's philanthropic foundations. We also stand ready to take part in any hearing with the state or academic organizations. I hope this meeting lead to deeper cooperation so that California can lead the world in this historic scientific breakthrough. We work together to make California to be the leader in the world in earthquake prediction. Thank you for your time and for commitment to seismic safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? No. Well, we appreciate that, and that brings us to the end of our meeting today. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you most all to staff and everyone working to make sure that the material and the work is done. So very much appreciate that. Thank you, everyone attending here and online, and we'll see you next time. So we are adjourned. Thank you.
Well, could you see if the live fire test is still
Commissioners, do you want us to stay a little bit longer or will you need us?
we no longer? We're done, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.
No, they